Project Blue, a remix of F-Zero by Overshield. Folks, you know what that song means.
Well, it's not by E.S. Cinder, and I keep getting the wrong music stuck in my head still after all these months.
Come
So,
on.
yeah.
We're getting up to this might actually be a year with the new intro, I think, because it was the beginning of
really
last year. I think so.
Holy shit.
We can confirm that when we're doing housekeeping. But welcome, everybody. I'm MrBond.
And I'm Tormod.
This is Insert Credits Round 129, ready for another go. By the way, this is the first show of 2025. Happy New Year to everybody, if you haven't already been wished a Happy New Year in the past 17 and change days. And even if you have, Happy New Year yet again.
Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. My body definitely feels aged, a little bit more than it has before, but that's what time does to a physical form.
Sure does.
Yeah. Oh. Bones are dust. But this is a podcast ostensibly about video games. We typically tend to divide this up into three segments. First, we start with some news around the world, what's been going on, new releases, any legal stuff, other things that we've been paying attention to that caught our attention over the past month or so. Then we break for some tunes, generally video game remixes from ocremix.org. Excellent site. Please go check it out. Once we come back from the first break, we talk about what we've been playing since last time. Tend to rack up a pretty good list of stuff in a month. Then we break for some more tunes, give our voices a rest. And then at the end, the final segment of the show, we do some ad hoc design. Totally unscripted, unprepared for. We use this fun little site called letsmakeagame.net that presents us with a handy-dandy list of things, restrictions, themes, genres, etc., that we then try to live on the air make a game around. Relatively successfully, I would say. We've already got a series that is 6 games long. We've had a couple erotic visual novels. Maybe not a couple. I always tend to play this number up because it feels like more than one. But probably less than several.
We're going to actually have to augment the numbers so that we can meet the quota at some point.
Oh no, is there quotas to this now? Uh-oh.
I mean, if we've made a couple, we should at least make a couple, right?
I see. Haha. Very good. Starting off the year with excellent comedy. But yeah, it's always I think it's a highlight of the show. We've been having a lot of fun with it. Get some real bangers and also some slightly lesser bangers, but they still end up being pretty fun. And maybe one day we'll even go back and make a couple of them. Who knows?
Hell yeah.
That's the good and or bad thing about time. You never know what's going to happen. Housekeeping. We like to schedule 3 shows out. We've got February and March all scheduled up. So for round 130 in February, looks like the 14th. Yep. That Friday evening. Excellent. Then round 131. Hey, look at that. 4 weeks later on March 14th. Oh, yep. Play Day, I suppose, huh? Didn't occur to
Friday
me
before St. Patrick's Day
until just now. Is it really that? Oh, I don't have the holidays listed on this calendar. That's why I didn't see it. But
St. Patrick's Day is the following Monday.
Oh, Monday. Oh, hate stuff that falls on Mondays. You can never do anything fun. So that means we need to schedule out now for round 132 in April. 18th is pretty close to the middle. Or we could go 1 week sooner if that works better. I really have no strong compunctions towards one or the other. So is the 18th all right?
Yeah, sure. We could do the post-tax day, hurrah. Why not?
Oh, right, because it's that Monday of that week. Well, whatever.
Tuesday?
Yeah,
it's the 15th.
Oh, okay. Well, even so. All right, 132, April 18th, 7 p.m. It will be CDT by that time.
Seems great. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Very good. Scheduling matters wrapped up. Let's talk about some news. What's been going on in the past month and change?
Ooh,
a lot indeed. Well, we've talked about good old games for a couple of shows consecutively now. We've got even more news about this time. So they've just recently started up their preservation program. Last month we talked about Warcraft 3 being taken out of that program. Thanks, Blizzard. But some better news to kind of balance that out. Good Old Games has joined the European Federation of Game Archives, Museums, and Preservation Projects.
Oh,
over on
hey.
that side of the pond. So that's pretty cool. A little bit more official recognition about their efforts to preserve good old games. That's great. Hopefully that gives them a few more resources, grants, research, etc. That would be lovely. I should make an honest effort to get more of my stuff from good old games because I'm a lazy git, and if it's through Steam, that's pretty easy, and they do good Linux support now. So it's like but good old games is also good. Hence their name.
Honestly, okay. I'm still super confused. Like, Amazon owns Twitch.
Yeah.
Twitch
Mm-hmm.
has Twitch Gaming, which gives you a bunch of games.
Uh-huh.
And most of those games come from GOG.
Oh,
This doesn't feel right.
that does seem a little incongruous, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
I've got like 60 GOG games now. It's great, and there's some really well-known stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and profess the hey, if you have Amazon Prime, link it to Twitch. Get your Twitch Prime, then you could spend the imaginary Bezos bucks, but also get your free games because most of them are from GOG and they're DRM free. It's great.
Hooray! DRM free is great. More
Yes.
of that, please. Um, and speaking of more of things, more Doom things. We like to always bring up whenever Doom is run on a new thing or they've got a new variation of Doom going on because, making Doom run on stuff is a pastime, a technological pastime. Oh boy. So here we go. We've got a Doom the Gallery experience, a slight engine port of classic Doom E1M1 to simulate walking through an art gallery and considering various art things on the walls and sipping wine, and if you find it, pounding down PBR because it's weird like
Okay.
that. Yeah, yeah, it's very funny. But it is available out there freely. Just look up Doom the Gallery experience and get your art gazing on, I guess.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah, it's very interesting. It's very odd, and it's like, why would people do that? But then it's like, you know what? That's fun. Do more of this, please. Okay, so slightly less exciting depending on your opinion of PDFs, but you can now play Doom in a PDF, but only in a Chromium-based browser, unfortunately, because of some various JavaScript exploits. But they've managed to slam Doom into a PDF rendering at a solid 11 frames per second and 6-ish color monochrome. I tried to play it a little bit. I think I got to like the second or third room before I was like, okay, this is absurd and
And we're done.
I can't fathom this. I cannot put my hands through that ringer to control it because you have to click into a text box and use a keyboard and you can't use mouse aiming or anything like that, so it's really a mess. Um but it is funny. It is funny. We've seen Doom rendered in a console. We've seen Doom displayed on a pregnancy test and on a lawnmower and on a tractor and on a little Lego brick that had a built-in display. And if it can display things and or compute things, chances are pretty good it's run Doom and or displayed Doom. So that's always fun, even if the overall result of it isn't either playable or 100% true to Doom. Here's a game that I want to play the first of before it comes out, but Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector is scheduled for release on the 31st of January.
You've never played Citizen Sleeper?
I have not. No, I was trying to
Whoa.
remember who specifically it was that recommended it to me, whether it was Saxon or Vlad, or possibly both. So it's on my short list of next games for stream.
Yeah, it's real interesting. Do you know much about it? Because the Citizen Sleeper 2 is going to be very similar in gameplay style.
Yeah, I know the basic gist of it. I know kind of like
Okay.
the theming and some of the very broad stroke elements to it. But I've
So
kind
you
of
get dice
stayed
rolls.
away. Oh, great. Dice rolls. Great. Can't wait for RNG to be totally in my favor then.
Okay, honestly though, like the way that they implement the dice roll system is pretty okay. Um you get I'm not going to spoil how it all works, but
Right.
it's pretty forgiving. But it does kind of make you choose some things sometimes that you wouldn't ordinarily choose. But I know we've talked about Mass Effect in the past because I really liked the kind of game where it gives you options to go through different dialogue trees and things like that. It's very much that kind of experience.
Okay.
It's really replayable because there are so many different branching paths that you can go down. I mean, it's basically a visual novel, but it's aleatoric because you have the dice rolling. You can't necessarily choose the thing that you want. It's really, really interesting. The setting is really good. Especially with you coming off of Cobalt Core-ish. It's got the space thing. It's very different than that. It's got a little bit of the existential thing going on from Cobalt Core. It really leans into it. So
good.
I think you would like it quite a bit.
Because I didn't just get off a existential mindfuck that was my previous stream game. Good.
Well,
great. In the perfect mindset for this now. Well, that's okay, because I got 2 weeks until Citizen Sleeper 2 comes out. I'm not going to play Citizen Sleeper 1 before that happens, but I am going to play them in sequence. So I will hold off on Citizen Sleeper 2, and I will avoid any spoilers and all that, which isn't really that difficult for me. I just don't read about stuff. But I am looking forward to both of them.
Were you a person that did not like mushrooms?
Like the food, as in consuming mushrooms? Correct. Yes, I am not a fan of mushrooms.
You're going to have to do some sort of suspension of disbelief.
Oh, uh-oh.
That's all.
Oh, okay. Seems odd, but I assume that has something to do with Citizen Sleeper, probably. So, all right. Very good. I will file that away and remember
Space Colony. I mean, like...
Okay, all right, fair. I get you. More slightly even good news here. So I don't know if you've heard of Marvel Rivals. I haven't.
I have.
Oh, you have. Great. So it's this Overwatch-ish like hero shooter game that had a little bit of a snafu with their anti-cheat detection, where if you were trying to play on, say, a non-Windows platform like Mac or Steam Deck or pretty much anything through a compatibility tool like Wine or Proton or the variants thereof, you would get flagged for cheating and probably get a 100-year ban from the game. The good news that came out of all this is that was reversed in short order, including with some intervention from Codeweaver's CEO. Codeweavers is well known for making some other cross-platform stuff and supporting other cross-platform projects. So those bans are now mostly reversed, and the makers of Marvel Rivals is looking into fixing that anti-cheat detection, if they haven't already. This is a relatively old piece of news from earlier in our month cycle here. So good to hear that they're not just kind of ignoring the subsect of folks that are playing on Mac or Linux Steam Deck through compatibility tools, and they're actually improving it. So that's great. Good. More of that. 25 plus years, well, maybe not 25 plus years, probably like 16, 17 years. How old is Half-Life 2? I don't remember. But that number of years, the conspiracy theories have been abound about when are they going to release Half-Life 3. Now we've got some more proof. I don't know about proof. Maybe more rumors that Half-Life 3 is actually going to be a thing. We've had a short clip released from the voice actor for the G-Man, Mike Shapiro, stating some very cryptic remarks about how 2025 will have a surprise in store.
Come on.
Yeah, I know. It's very tenuous at best, but apparently this G-Man voice actor Mike Shapiro hasn't done a whole lot of stuff to put out, like, G-Man voice clips and all that for like 3 or 4 years. So having this come out, New Year, right? Everybody's all hyped for what the New Year's about to bring to us. Plus, there's been some extra references added to the Source 2 engine files, referencing something called HLX, so Half-Life, blah, blah, right? So, of course, the rumor mill starts a churn and people start data mining things, and we try to make connections between things that probably don't exist. But, hope alive for Half-Life 3, perhaps. we'll see. We'll see. No other firm data beyond that, of course. So
I mean, don't forget that we just had some quality of life updates with Half-Life 1 and 2. We had the didn't they just put out the documentary like 2 months ago? They had the RTX release of Half-Life 2. Half-Life Alyx is still fairly popular.
right, yeah, and that was considered kind of like, oh, are these the hints to Half-Life 3 you've been looking for? And then Half-Life Alyx happens, like, oh, maybe not. Okay, whatever. But hey, maybe
I mean,
with all those releases kind of stacking up now, you gotta think they're moving towards something bigger, right? But I don't know.
I'd like to believe it. I was just talking the other day with Vlad about like would I play Black Mesa or would I play the OG games? Because I still promised that I would go back and actually play Half-Life because it was always billed to me as this like super scary, like I would actually not like it kind of thing because of my not growing up with PC gaming and my sensibilities being more of a JRPG player and whatnot. Like I was told that like it would be like too much for me. It would be overstimulating. It would be a bad time. Like that's why I've just not played it because like, oh no, it's something that people keep telling me I'm not gonna like. Like, why would I try that? But I mean, like, I've watched some gameplay and I'm like, this is fine. Like these
Yeah,
puzzles, like I'm like watching people fail puzzles and I'm like, you just do that and you just okay,
right.
fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't
Like
bill it
I
as
think I would be okay.
scary. Yeah, scary is probably the wrong term for it. Maybe not 100% up your alley, but between like the OG and Black Mesa would probably be a good way to experience it, even for the first time. And after that, if you want to go back and play the OG, that's fine too.
See, like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I want the authentic OG experience, and I mean, especially with all of the quality of life patches and stuff that have come out
Sure. Yeah,
recently.
yeah.
I don't know. I've been thinking about it.
It is definitely one of those seminal FPSs of the time that really blew a lot of things open for the genre and PC gaming in general. So it's a great title to have played just for like the cultural aspects of it, if that makes any
Oh yeah,
sense.
for sure.
Like you'll start to get a
There are
lot of
so many
things.
quotes that I just
Yeah.
don't get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It really is one of those multi-decade things now where hey, if you haven't played it, you're gonna miss out on some gaming culture. Essentially, it feels kind of weird to say it like that, but there's so many different ways to experience it too. So yeah, I guess it's split 50-50 between Black Mesa and the OG if you want to play it. I
Yeah.
can definitely speak to both because I played them both. So Black Mesa is a
Sweet.
very good, very very good remaster of it. Like very
Oh yeah.
true to the original, but a lot easier to kind of play with modern sensibilities on it too. So maybe it's a little bit better in that regard. But anyways,
There.
the rumor mill on Half-Life 3 definitely continuing apace. If we do get some more firm information about that, we'll share it in future shows here. But for now, it's just kind of like a haha, that's funny, very tenuous connections between things. But when people really want something, they'll find a way to connect it up and hope for it super hard. All right, that's all I got for news. What else has been happening past month?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to start with my personal favorite, the annual Awesome Games Done Quick charity marathon held in Pittsburgh. This year it was between the 5th and the 12th. They surpassed last year's donation total by a little bit, less than $100,000, but I mean, they did it.
Right?
They
Yeah.
raised $2,583,390.22 for the Prevent Cancer Foundation, an outstanding amount of money. I don't know. AGDQ is just a time. I love it. It is the harbinger of the new year, I guess, kind of. But it's always a time. Like this year, I was unemployed. It just kind of worked out that I was able to watch a fair bit of it. But the schedule was really experimental this time. They ended up having a live band for the Crazy Taxi run because that game had a bunch of licensed music. So they had a live band accompany the run, and that was the first time that they ever did something like that, and it turned out phenomenally. It was only an 18-minute run, but it was just masterfully done. I want to say that was maybe on Thursday. It was absolutely worth going back and watching that. There were a trio of guys from Singapore who did a rhythm game showcase for 2 hours. Unreal. I can't remember the name of the game. It was the first time I saw it. I'm mesmerized. Just virtuosic level of skill with this game. They ended up doing this remotely because they had access to the arcade hardware. It was just difficult to both get the hardware to the United States to do it on stage, but also it required a level of concentration where having that environment was better. But just the outpouring of love from everybody back actually like in Pittsburgh was phenomenal. It was just there were so many firsts. Just the interstitials were fantastic. The production value, the sad moments, like Cent is no longer going to be working on the prize team, but is still going to be with GDQ. Just like things are shifting around. The organization is growing. The production value is continuing to grow. Like they have learned and adjusted and done so much in the span of their time doing these broadcasts, and they've raised so much money. I'm thrilled. I desperately want to go back to an event like this live. Eventually, I would like to learn a run of something. I keep trying to think of like what's my weird niche esoteric something or other that I could like hyperfixate on that would be interesting enough and stupid and whatever else that I could like get into an awful block segment or some such, because like I want to learn something real bad. Like that's a goal of mine now. So like there's something. There's got to be something out there. Like
I don't know, like Pyramid maybe? I don't know. That's pretty bad.
The idea of maybe something real bad, like Baby Coyote or something, like that would be hilarious to me. It's real bad.
That is real bad.
It is real bad. But I don't know, like at some point I got to do something. I really miss that crew. I haven't seen anybody since 2018. I'd love to go back to SGDQ. The dates were revealed. SGDQ is going to be back in Minneapolis this year. I think it's going to be downtown again instead of in the burbs. This is going to be between the 6th and the 12th, so it's after July 4th. But 6th through the 12th, obviously 6 months out at this point. I really hope that I can make it work. It is a lot easier to drive than it is to fly. It's a lot cheaper. I would really love to go. So very much looking forward to that. That will, of course, be benefiting Médecins Sans Frontières. So that is Doctors Without Borders. So Minneapolis is a very fun place to be. Yeah, the Midwest is a good time. Charity marathons. I've just been really like, I want to produce shit again, and then everything is changing right now, so I have to like slow my roll. Get back to playing games, learn some runs instead of doing everything. But that's kind of where I'm at. All right. Well, speaking of things that happened COVID and whatnot, you remember that Razer sold a gamer N95?
I do, and I remember reading about it and being like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, so it wasn't actually an N95.
Oh, this is my shocked face.
Yeah, they lied. Yeah, big surprise there. So they sold that back in 2021 as an RGB N95 mask, and the Federal Trade Commission themselves is refunding people. So there's some there's some big stuff going on in the background there. But in the meantime, the FTC is being the broker that is providing refunds in the form of checks and PayPal payments, totaling over $1 million. They're in the process of reaching out to the consumers who were trusting enough to make those purchases. So that's happening now. Yeah. That's all I got for that. I'm just gonna leave that one there.
It's something.
I wrote this earlier this week. The alleged official Nintendo Switch 2 hardware reveal date of Thursday, the 16th of January, leaked by hacker. And well, it happened. Yep. So Nintendo finally just said, fuck it. Everything's already been leaked. Let's just have a trailer. Get off our ass. And they actually did. So yep, bigger screen, totally different connection method for having the Joy-Cons attached to the unit. It will instead kind of snap on instead of having a rail system. That's going to have its own unique issues with the potential for the protrusions on both sides of the Switch hardware itself to break, but whatever, not my problem, hopefully. The stand on the back of the main part of the Switch itself is a U shape, which is, of course, prompting people to say that it's the new Switch U. Yeah. The dock face is rounded in the front corners. That's interesting. So the top corners of the dock, it just kind of goes up. Whoop. So, yeah, I don't know. It looks a little thinner. Yeah, the screen itself is larger. It looks like it might be just under 10 inches. Aspect ratio appears to be the same. It does indeed play Switch games. It is backwards compatible, although they have a little disclaimer that says not all games are guaranteed to work, but of course they're going to try to make them all work. I'm trying to remember the other major bits.
The Joy-Cons themselves are slightly larger.
They are, yeah. Yeah, I mean, just the general aesthetics of it look less like a toy. I gotta say that, like, the bezels around the screen edge are smaller. The unit looked like it was thinner. So by expanding the actual physical dimensions of it, but making it thinner, they were able to make the battery packs have probably more cells, but make the unit itself thinner. So they're able to spread that out across more surface area. So that's probably better for heat management as well as energy density.
Right.
Using a totally different SoC, I have to imagine. They didn't put any tech details in there. But they did show it running a new Mario Kart of some variety. So there's that. Something that isn't Mario Kart 8 DX. That's been out since 2017.
Well,
and earlier, because it was a re-release.
The styling of it looked, like the brief 10 seconds of it they showed, it looked very much like Mario Kart 8 DX, new Switch U2 or whatever. But yeah, but the name, I'm surprised they have stuck with a very standard Switch 2 on its branding so far, right? Yeah. Maybe they learned their lesson that perhaps Wii to Wii U was not the greatest choice. And Microsoft could definitely take a page from that book too.
Yeah. I think that's a fair criticism. But honestly, though, I mean, like, given that it's a fairly short release or preview whatever you would call it, I mean, like, it's official. It's their first, like, actual official media. For the length that it was, it showed a lot of information without needing to have words. It was great.
Right.
It did a good job of showcasing the physical differences between the units. So I think they did a pretty good job illustrating that. So good job on them for that. I look forward to it. And of course, the big thing there right at the end, 2025. We don't know when, but this year, allegedly. Yeah, yeah, I look forward to it. Like, of course, I'll buy one.
With the also announcement of the announcement, more information coming on April 2nd with their Nintendo
That's
Direct
true.
there.
Yes. Yeah, I totally forgot about that
Yeah.
actually. Yeah,
Which,
so they
hey,
will have a Nintendo Direct for it, which is not a joke.
yeah, good on them for
Probably.
waiting until after April Fools, at least in
Yeah.
day.
Yep. That was intelligent. So, yep, 4-2. So we will see things in, yeah, well, I guess 2.5 months at this point. So, yeah, 4-2 for the Switch too. That's fun. Well, speaking of gaming handhelds, again, SteamOS is coming to other gaming handhelds officially.
All right.
So Valve is making it officially available. One such handheld is Lenovo's Legion Go S. It was announced at CES 2025, and the S stands for, can you guess?
Oh, gee, I don't
SteamOS,
know.
there you
Oh,
go.
wow. Okay, didn't even give me a chance to guess.
Wow. Yeah. So, no, Valve has been very, very vocal in the last probably 3 to 4 weeks about how they want it to just be this organic open platform that people can contribute to, that they want it to be modular, that they want it to be open hardware standards, that etc. So that's great. I kind of figured that would be the direction that they would go anyway. Valve has a pretty long history of making their own first party products and just kind of dog fooding their own stuff and then just kind of making it available. So I like that. That's great. That's typical of what they do. And always happy to support that kind of thing. So SteamOS is, of course, a pretty mature platform at this point, realistically speaking. It is, of course, Linux based. It is very modular at this point. It runs Proton very, very well. The compatibility with SteamOS very specifically is fabulous. And being able to leverage the extensive compatibility list for all of these games that worked very, very hard to make sure that they were compatible with the Steam Deck will hopefully translate to these other devices that also use SteamOS as well.
Right? Yeah.
So
Steam Deck at this point now being kind of the low watermark in terms of hardware power, in terms of screen res that you have to support, typically 30 frames or better. I also like that a lot. It encourages efficiency and optimization over let's just throw more hardware at it and you might get 60 frames if you are lucky and the planets are in alignment. And you have liquid cooling and got fresh supply of nitrogen and all that stuff. SteamOS as a whole is pretty good. I love their Proton efforts. That feeds back into, hey, desktop Linux support. Yep. I love it. Great. More of that, please. And of course, it is, Linux-based being, SteamOS being Linux-based. Not just Linux-based, though. Arch Linux-based.
Hey, there you go.
Gotta get that in there because, the whole funny bit. How do you know someone's gonna? How do you know someone uses Arch Linux? Don't worry, they'll tell you.
Well, now, many people use Arch Linux and they don't even know it.
Right? Take that.
But in all seriousness, like that is Valve's development philosophy. Like, let's make something and then use all of this knowledge and this market power that we have behind us realistically, like making this super popular thing, and then use all of the knowledge and the dividends from that and bring it everywhere else. And that's so good. I love it so much. So the benefit for desktop is huge. Absolutely huge. And it's fabulous to see. And I'm going to keep going back to the macOS game porting toolkit. Like the success that Valve had with Proton and making basically Wine accessible absolutely drove that. There's no question in my mind that macOS being a viable gaming platform was driven by that. So I'm very thankful. So I just making games accessible to more than just Windows PCs is a requirement, and having anything make that more possible is just fantastic.
On the hardware side, I do wish they had put more effort into the Steam Link. That little kind of tiny set-top box designed
Yep.
specifically to stream from a more powerful machine. That kind of evolved and or devolved, depending on how you think about it, into an app on a mobile platform, which is kind of unfortunate. So that is something I bought into relatively early, and it worked okay at the time. There are some other stream-a-bits that you can put onto it that supposedly makes it run a lot better. Sunshine and Moonlight, or Sunshine and Moonshine. I don't know. Forget the pairing of server and client. That is on my list of things to look into once I have the energy to do so. So
Sure.
maybe some life for the old Steam Link yet, but I wish they had officially done some more stuff with it. Even a second hardware revision or whatever would have been cool, but I can't begrudge them for kind of letting that go by the wayside, since I do like the Steam Deck quite a bit. They really did a great there. So props to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of along the same lines, NVIDIA, I guess, in some way kind of saw the light, and they're bringing a native GeForce Now app to the Steam Deck.
Okay.
So for those games that are just too intensive for handheld, now you can run it on someone else's computer. So
for the right
there's
price.
Well, yeah, of course, for a price.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess staying on the topic of NVIDIA, they did launch RTX 5000 finally. The prices are steep, as you would expect.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So we'll start with the top. The 5090, $2,000.
Oh. Oh.
The 5080, $1,000.
Oh.
The 5070 Ti, $749. And the 5070 non-Ti, $549, which allegedly matches the performance of the 4090 when using DLSS 4, allegedly. So, yeah. I realize now, like, I last bought a GPU during COVID when I had to, like, fight people on Newegg and Amazon and Micro Center's website and everything else to, like, get to the checkout button before anybody else. Back when things were inflated then. I have a Radeon 6900 XT. And I realize now that that's like a 5-year-old GPU. And I'm like, why are my games not running well anymore? This is weird. I just reinstalled Windows. Yeah. And then I look at the price tag for a new GPU and I'm like, yeah, nah.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't run that badly.
Nope. So yeah, I will say that, like, the tendency for the hardware enthusiast to quickly buy into new things and then sell off their slightly used older thing at a much more palatable price is nice. Have a look at the used market and buy 4000 series GPUs or even 3000 series GPUs. Like, you will find them for cheap. Vlad being able to get a 3090 for $500 was amazing. It was absolutely worth driving to Minneapolis to do that. Like, who cares if we spent a whole day doing that? We saved a fuck ton of money. Yeah. It's real great. Like, he ended up playing Deep Rock Galactic the other day and was like, I'm playing this at 1440p at 144 frames a second with ultra no drops, and like this is uncanny and it's weird. And yeah, it's, you know what? You don't need the latest gen shit. Just, like, if somebody wants it, fine. Those are the prices. If you want to go beat people out of line so that you can go get the newest reference boards from Micro Center or Best Buy or whatever else, fine, do it. But I mean, like, your secondhand cards these days, so long as they work and they're not damaged, they're gonna be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, no way I'm splashing out 4 digits for a GPU. Absolutely not. Unless they somehow manage to get it actually down to 2 slots wide. If they manage that, maybe I'll think about it. But none of this 3-ish and change slot garbage that they got going on now. No. And I say
at this
this
point, like with your PCI Express slot spacing, like they just assume that your cards need 3 or 4 slots. So like they don't even bother putting other slots on boards now. They're not even that close.
that stinks though.
I know.
Call me a PCI purist or whatever, but I got something in the next 2 slots over in the little PCIe X1 thing.
Yep.
I can't have it taking up more than 2 slots.
Yeah.
And this is coming from somebody who's still rocking a 1070, a GTX 1070 from 2017 now. And yeah, I've noticed a few hitches and slowdowns and whatever if I try to play something fairly recent, but it's still kind of like, you know what? I'll put up with this until AMD actually releases the 9000 series. So, you know, I'm hoping that Intel's offerings that they've been getting, you know, fairly good kind of previews on, I'm hoping that pushes down the mid-range end a bit. That would be chef's kiss for me.
Honestly, like, I don't know if we really got into Battle Mage a whole lot. Like, I'm actually pretty impressed, especially for what the price is.
Right, yeah.
So, realistically speaking, like, hey, a mid-range card, if Intel can continue to innovate in the mid-range at the 500 or less mark, like, I mean, okay, I'm listening. You can continue completely fucking up your CPUs, but if you can make a halfway decent GPU for $500 or less, I'm gonna be in the market at some point. Like, I've got this Radeon 6900 XT because it's the best card that Mac OS supports right now. Cough Hackintosh. But I mean, like, that's only going to be viable for so much longer anyway. So,
right?
like,
yeah.
At some point, I'm going to need a different GPU if I want to play games. So, we'll see. For now, it's working fine. But at some point, I will have to replace it. So, I don't know. I would really like to see more competition. That would be really cool.
Right?
So like Intel, whatever you're going to call your C series cards with your D&D class names, Cleric sounds really boring.
It really does.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's got to be other C things out there. Yeah.
Look, if they keep the price pressure on, that's great. I probably wouldn't splash out for an Intel card myself, having not had great experience with their integrated stuff, and their general driver quality hasn't been super good, so I've been hearing. So I'll stick to the other main two, but hey, if they're putting pressure on those at the range that I'm interested in, excellent. Please continue.
You know what would be real fun?
Many things, but what's fun in this context here?
Oh, I'm just thinking like if 3DFX just kind of like came out of the depths again. We're like, hey, fuckers, slaps down the Voodoo 9 or something.
Look, that does track with the name, all right? Like, there's a little necromancy involved. I don't care.
Hell
It's a good video card. Let's go.
I don't know. I mean, like, with everything else that's just like, hey, Half-Life 3, baby. Who knows what might happen from 25 years ago? Like,
3DFX.
Man, I would be all about that shit. Ooh. So who knows? Who knows? All right, I'm rambling. We good for Toonskis at this point?
I think we are. Let's give our voices a break and listen to some good stuff here. So, not that we're not good stuff ourselves, but
well, you know, it's time for music. All right, we're gonna start the evening with Frozen Light by Pipco Fanfare from Final Fantasy VI. Moving into Dawn of the Chosen by Zach Parrish and Pixel Seth from Final Fantasy V. and then going into Down by Chimpazilla and Emunator from The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Another month has passed, and if we haven't mentioned it before, but I know we have, Happy New Year! Hopefully everybody's been playing some fun games, or, you know, interesting games, thoughtful games, scary games if you're into that sort of thing. mind-numbing games if you need it. Like, no judgment here, really. But what have we all been playing? Let's hear some stuff. What have we been playing? What's been going on the playing front?
Well, interestingly, during the interstitials for AGDQ, there were actually audience participation things this time.
Ooh.
So like during Brian Otto's Call of Duty run, there
God blobs.
Did you
I
watch
didn't
the run?
know. That's
Okay.
it's an entire playlist of things I need to watch now. Again, added on to like the 3 or 4 others that I need to do. So
Fair enough. All right. So during his run, there was a period of time where there's just a bunch of waiting.
okay.
So he had a thing. So iPad baby time.
Uh-oh.
So the couch during the run had a wonderful poster board with some letters, and it was one of those guessing games where the chat could participate, and it was a list of letters that were either 5, 6, 7, or 8. Or excuse me, a list of words that were either 5, 6, 7, or 8 letters long. And everybody had to like guess a word with those letters that could be in the list, and it was just iPad baby game time. And yep, played along. It was great.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it was iPad baby game. Yep, I played iPad baby game. Yeah.
All right.
I played that. There were some things. There were also kind of play along at home things with like identifying video game music tunes as part of the interstitials. Granted, I mean, like the participants for that were of course like on stage at the time, but I mean, like I was playing along.
Right.
But,
yeah.
a lot of it was like identifying music for the games that were actually part of the marathon. There was a donation incentive during the interstitial at one point to like just start playing the music backwards.
Oh, okay.
That added a unique element to things. I actually got more than I thought I would, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, so I mostly did that kind of stuff. Beyond that, I was kind of focusing on applying to jobs.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
But I have been sitting in on Vlad doing Cobalt Core.
Nice.
And that's been real fun. So he finally was able to, for the vanilla game, get every card.
Wow. Okay.
The last was to get Bruise from Tooth, which he was able to do during a daily, I want to say it was Tuesday's daily. Yeah, that sounds right. So yeah, Tuesday's daily, he ended up getting the Tooth event, and Bruise was one of the cards, and that was good. So finally finishing the 100% collectibles for the vanilla game, decided, you know what, fine, it's time for mods. After finishing last night's daily, which at least at the time of completion, he was number 1 on the leaderboard.
Nice.
He booted up a couple mods. One was for a new ship called the Saturn, and the other was for a new character whose name was Philip. Philip is a raccoon. Philip is an interesting and unique individual who is sort of an engineer, but a kind of not great at his job.
Oh boy. Okay.
His deck tends to modify other cards to the left or right of his cards. So they add effects to the other cards in your hand.
I see. Okay.
Oh, mechanic. I'm sorry. Philip is a mechanic.
Okay. All right. Okay. PH. I was gonna ask PH or F. So PH. Got it.
Yes, PH. Yep. So yeah. And like the character has unique dialogue, adds unique dialogue with other characters on the team. The Saturn was a fairly unique ship. It was pretty wide. It had 2 cannons. Or not cannons. What am I thinking? Oh, are they cannons?
I don't know.
It's where you launch
do
drones.
They shoot bits? Oh no, like drone bays or whatever.
Missile Bays. There we go.
Missile
Thank you,
Bays. There, okay. Yeah.
They're on the far outer reaches of the ship. That are weak by default. Until the very end of that run, when Armored Bay was, of course,
there you go.
a thing that very much got rid of that altogether. So that was lovely. And a bunch of things just kind of lined up fortuitously, and Cleo went down. So that was great. So yeah, a very nice finish to a daily turned into a very, very fun finish for trying a couple mods at the same time. It was a good time. A few people from the modding community were very present throughout the evening, and that was fun. So yeah, Cobalt Core has been getting a lot of attention from mods in particular recently because of the modding community having a stable mod loader that has a lot of community support behind it now, made by Shaka. So that's been real cool. I don't know the names for everything off the top of my head, but there is a nice mod presence on the official Discord. So there are a few channels there where there are discussions for mod development, mod questions, like a place to field questions for installing mods and whatnot. So mod loader's name is Nickel. Yep, Shaka is the dev who developed that. So many of those mods are available on Nexus Mods. Some of them are only available via the Discord. But yeah, there are character mods, there are ship mods, there are all sorts of different things that are out there right now. Based on the banter that I had excitedly inside of Twitch chat last night, because Shaka was there and some other developers were there as well, it seems like primarily C# is used for that, so that's kind of interesting.
Nice. All right.
So I am pretty curious about like how do you hook into the framework for the game to do these things. So that'd be kind of fun to like ask the questions of like how do, because maybe it would be kind of fun to fart around with that at some point. So yeah. So I've been, as I do, passively observing, except now much more keenly alerted to the possibility of messing around with Cobalt Core, and Vlad graciously gifted me that game for Christmas. So nice. I have my own copy now and may engage in my own shenaniganry with that. So.
Please do. It is a very good game. I did enjoy my time significantly with it. And it's a large part of the reason why it is on the short list for Sunday Long Plays, too. So
awesome.
That's going to be returning probably in short order. Maybe not this Sunday, but soon. So yeah, my gaming has been interesting and full of unique things. Finally finished Lorelei and the Laser Eyes this past week. That's the kind of nod to the sort of existential crisis type stuff, because the ending is very strange. Like, of the entirety of the time I spent with that game, the ending was probably the weakest part. Which isn't that bad. There was a major component of it that I had called like my first night with it. Like, hey, I bet this is gonna happen. Oh, hey, look at that. It happened at the very end. Wow, amazing. So I did kind of identify that very, very early on. But Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, great game. Excellent puzzles. I would, this is probably a pretty favorable comparison. I would compare it to Tunic as far as like long-term puzzles are concerned. Like, if you think something's gonna happen later, write that shit down, because it's gonna happen later. It'll be important. And I'm glad I did, because I got a full 12 pages of notes about this game, and a good like 80% of them were useful.
Excellent.
The rest were not. The rest were me overthinking shit and going way down the path of that game is not out to trick you. It really is pretty genuine, and hey, here's the information you need. You can solve this right here. You don't have to go too far to solve it. It was a great game. There was like maybe 3 or 4 puzzles in total that I got totally hung up on. So Omega Weapon, if you're still listening actively here, thank you for your nudges on those. We were able to get through all of them eventually. Awesome. Not quite 100%, 99.8%, in fact, of the stuff that I was able to see and unlock and solve. The other 0.2% is something I'll go back and do later, because it's not valuable as a stream bit. But it is very fun. Like the aesthetics of it was great. Monochrome with only red highlights as the only color, really. So it's very unique, very strange, very esoteric, very like sort of Eastern European type stuff, with some of the lore, and set in game in sort of multiple time periods. I don't want to spoil too much of it because honestly, I think people should play it and experience it and go with it. But it was really fun. It was extremely fun. The only other game I've physically written stuff down for more would probably be The Witness, but that's its own little story that I probably told when I actually played The Witness. It was very fun and cool. After that, I picked up this past Wednesday Raven's Watch, which is the next game from the same folks that made Curse of the Dead Gods, Pastech Games. Curse of the Dead Gods I very much enjoyed. Raven's Watch, even with my one night of experience with it, was like, yeah, okay, I could get into this. Definitely some of the same design elements. Some of the enemy designs are very recognizable between the two. Not a direct sequel or even a spiritual sequel at any time, but some of the elements are very, very noticeable. It's definitely designed to be more of a co-op game, where you pull together your crew of up to 4 folks and you go at it. But of course, I don't really like that, so I play single player. But it still seems eminently doable with one person. I'm just bad at it because I've only been playing it for 2 hours. So look forward to more of that in the coming streams. On the SBC side of things, for Shmup Book Club, our new shmup for a month of January is Air Garret, spelled Air Gallet, Gallet. I don't think it's necessarily French, but that's what the voiceover thing pronounces it as, Air Garret, so whatever.
Okay. Pretty
standard in terms of vertical shmups. Folks seem to be enjoying it. I mean, I have a pretty good time with it. It's very non-flowcharty in terms of being able to get a good score. You shoot things, you get points. Great, perfect, good for me. I don't want to have to try to hold too many things in my mind when I'm thinking about how to score. So I'm really enjoying it. One of our other still persistent quarterlies from December through the end of February is Raystorm. Slightly less excited about that game. That's hard to visually parse for me, which is pretty rare. Like my eyes are kind of shit, but usually I can follow things, but this one is just very difficult to place what's in the background, what's in the foreground. It's got that, it's for arcade, but it's got that very like early PS1 aesthetic where things are polygonal, but they have basic textures to them, but the textures are shit. So it's like, it's really muddy to try to make sense of things. It's an okay game. I don't have anything super negative to say about it aside from the visual clarity, but otherwise it's all right. Sunday long plays have still been Dead Cells. Dead Cells and more Dead Cells, because it's a very fun game. I did manage in my, planned end of year break from work. I take a week and a half off or whatever I can swing really at that point and just decompress. I played a lot of it over break, and I've still been playing it on Sunday long plays. So I've done what I think is like the ultimate big bad super end game fight. But I still need to go back and do some of the other previous boss fights to that. So that's been a bit of a struggle. This is probably common knowledge by now, but when you're playing a game on stream versus just playing it on your own, it is a lot different. Like your attention is a little bit more divided when you're doing a stream and interacting with chat or just in general, like you got other things going on. So I'm understandably awful when I'm on stream. Off stream, a little bit better. So that's the only reason I was able to beat the big bad. This was off
Fair
stream.
enough.
But it's still extremely fun. I mean, you get some good builds going. You get a high curse number going, and then you eat shit. But then you start again because that's the Dead Cells for you. I am pleased to hear other people picking up and playing Dead Cells as well, and hearing them like get past and get through a certain number of runs, and now they get to experience the fun stuff because it changes the game a little bit as you get further and further. And it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna have some fun, and by fun, I mean you're gonna die a lot. But it is very fun. I do very much enjoy it. I am kind of coming to my end of long play with it for now, though. This is like the second or third time I've added it to the long play rotation because it is very fun. So I imagine Cobalt Core will be coming back to long play very soon. Maybe even immediately after Dead Cells. So, well, spoiler alert for that. Outside the realms of streaming, though, I've started to play a few Zelda 1 randomizers.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of their most recent tournament stuff that they've been doing. I'm like, you know what? I should probably start playing this. And I did. I played like a half dozen seeds or whatever with shapes dungeons turned on, and all the randomized overworld enemies and dungeon enemies and mix and match and all that sort of thing. I'm sticking purely to first quest because second quest has some bullshit that I don't want to deal with. And I've just been kind of gathering some resources and having things up on screen that I can refer to, because honestly, the thing that gives me the most trouble with it is all the overworld spots, all the burn bushes, all the bomb spots.
Sure.
Like, honestly, Zelda 1, not great at telling you what might be burnable or bombable unless you know it's there. So I don't feel bad at using references for that stuff, because otherwise it's just an exercise in frustration that I don't need exercise in frustration when I'm having fun, when I'm trying to have fun, rather.
Totally.
So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I still have kind of one seed in progress that I last locationed the wood sword on, so I kind of got angry at it and set it aside for a bit until I go back to it.
Is this
maybe
the vanilla blue ring spot?
Let's see, where was this one? I think it was all the way up in the furthest northwest corner of Death Mountain.
Oh, well, that too.
Yeah, that was not great. As it was like 45 minutes in or something, I finally got the S word. I'm like, so I put it away. I'll finish this later, but I'm putting it away for now because I am angry. But it's been overall pretty fun. I'm nowhere near the level of participating in tourneys or races or anything like that, but it is fun to put to practice some of the stuff I've been watching for a bit. So
awesome.
Other than that, a few kind of odds and ends, just stuff I fill in the gaps for, a few Doom randos as well. I managed to play a purely Doom 1 randomizer the other day because I found a pop tracker pack for it that does auto tracking. Which is great, because for some weird reason, my mind holds on to all the Doom 2 locations way better than Doom 1. Without a map or something, I'm totally lost on Doom 1. But yeah, it's been pretty fun. I think we're gearing up for a large-scale asynchronous multi-world soon. I'm not the one hosting it this time, which is fine, because I kind of burned out a little bit on that in the previous year. But it's fun to see other folks kind of taking up that mantle too, and I'll gladly join in as a participant as long as I'm not running the show from the behind the scenes all the time, because that's it's a little bit of stress. Hoping that things kind of stay together with chewing gum and duct tape and hopes and dreams. But it is fun all the same. All right, how about some more tunes? I feel like I've been talking forever. Let's start with a remix from Flashback entitled Flashback from the Future by 7DD9, followed by a remix from Undertale entitled A Little Bit of Mercy by David L. Puga, and then finishing off with a remix from Castlevania Symphony of the Night entitled Gallery of Mysteries by Moebius, VARIA, Pixels and Paradiddles, and Cyril the Wolf. right, but paid to our promises earlier, we are rolling up on the ad hoc design segment for this evening. Tormod, what's this all about? What are we doing here?
We're making a game.
Excellent. I like the start of
So
that.
we are using letsmakeagame.net. Oh boy, we are doing this yet again. So the game idea generator on letsmakeagame.net is going to give us one or two each of genre, rules, setting, and theme. And we have up to 3 options each. We roll 1. We get 1 or 2 each of genre, rule, setting, and theme. We decide, hey, does this work for us? Last week, weirdly, we said yes. Last month, we weirdly said yes. That is very atypical for us. We usually like a lot of pain.
It really is, yeah.
Generally speaking, we say, hell no, this is too easy. This game basically writes itself. Whatever fun language we use, because most of the time the first roll really is just kind of milk toast or very bizarre. So we go ahead and hit that generate button again, and we get roll number 2. Usually roll number 2 is a hot mess. Generally speaking. I'm just characterizing this entirely random process as if it's, predictable in some way. But we can't go back to the first roll. That's the rule. So we either have a choice at that point. So do we stick with this weird, bizarre hot mess of the second roll, or do we go to roll number 3 and really, really just get stuck with it at that point? Usually we do, because we're a fan of pain. So we go to roll number 3. At which point, we can't go back to either of the first 2 rolls. We can't go to a roll 4 because that's against the rules. We're stuck with it. So how it works here is I've loaded letsmakeagame.net/game-idea-generator. We cannot use the thing that appeared on page load. That is our example. The example here has 1 each of genre, rule, setting, and theme. The genre for our example is arcade. The rule is you are the world, whatever the fuck that means. The setting is post-apocalypse, and the theme is descent into madness, which is very common. We get that one a lot. We ended up having some statistics last show of how often we see certain things. Descent into madness is pretty common.
Well, it rolls pretty commonly. We don't use it very often, though. We've only used it twice in our entire go of this modern ad hoc thing that we do. But it does roll.
That descent into madness is used in one of the 2 examples on the page. So, yeah.
I would be most concerned if it showed up in an actual roll that we could be observing tonight. But RNG being what it is, that wouldn't altogether surprise me, I guess.
That's how it be sometimes.
It really do.
All right. Did I skip anything? Did I miss anything?
No, that is a cromulent summary of what we try to do with ad hoc design. So, roll 1, I guess, huh?
It's time to hit the generate button, right?
Yep, let's go. See what we got to work with.
Okay.
Oh no,
all right.
That's never a good start.
Roll number 1's genre is QWOP-like.
Oh, all right.
I don't recall seeing that one before.
I think we've seen it come up in a couple rolls, but for whether boon or bust, we've never actually used it.
Fair enough. The rule is nothing is permanent. The setting is science fiction. And the theme is natural disaster.
Oh. Well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving along.
I don't like how true to life that is. That sucks ass.
A little bit. A little bit. All right, so hitting that generate button.
We sure are. We're not doing that one.
Hastening along. Oh wow, this one feels milquetoast to me. This one isn't a weird thing. I think they swapped personalities here. So one each again.
Okay.
Roll two's genre is co-op.
Very
That's it.
generic.
The rule is build the level you play. The setting is distant future. And the theme is race to the finish.
Yeah, that's definitely very, very vanilla. And not even like a fancy New York vanilla or a French vanilla, like just plain ass vanilla.
Artificial vanilla.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it has its uses, but not for this. Ugh. We're really gonna do this again, aren't we? We're gonna go to
sure
roll
are.
3. Okay.
All right.
Here we
roll
are.
3. We're stuck with whatever this is. Are we making a porn game tonight? Let's find out. Did I will it into existence?
Please not the other P word. That would be okay, honestly.
All right. Well, this actually could be interesting. I'm not really sure what we're going to do with it. Again, it's one each. Roll number 3, the roll. The genre is sport management.
Fort management. With an F? Fort
No,
management?
with an SP.
Oh, sports management. Oh, that's even worse somehow. Okay.
This is going to be interesting. The rule is only 3 colors.
Huh.
Lorelei and the laser eye. Anyway,
I mean,
the setting is mafia. So I can already see how this could come together.
okay.
Cough, cough, betting ring.
All right.
And the theme is satire.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh. Fight Club the game, yeah.
All right. I'll admit sport management kind of turned me super off at the very beginning. But these
Big shock.
the last two kind of brought it back. All right. Well, I mean, it's the law. We got to go with this one. So
it is very, very much the law, yes. We were spared the porn game.
And also the nationalism game, too. All right. Sport management, only 3 colors, mafia, and satire.
We need to think of, like, the most atypical and unique and interesting sport possible. Like, what underground activity could we turn into sport and have it not be anything that's like actually dangerous or illicit at all?
Okay. I
love the idea of shuffleboard heroes because it's silly. It's geriatrics playing shuffleboard. Like, I loved that concept because it was just silly.
I've got a thought on that. In fact, so given that the mafia is involved here, I am kind of into the idea of like super hardcore betting on curling.
Okay.
Like something that's it's still a sport technically speaking.
Hold on.
But and I'm sure it's very interesting. I've seen like very passing glances of curling taking place, and you're like, yeah, it's very. I think it could be very interesting if you're aware of all the little nuances to the rules of it and such. I am not, definitely, but I think it could be this very interesting little contrast of people are really super into betting on curling and like the shit that gets people's legs broken because it's the mafia because they bet the wrong way on a curling match is just activates the interesting neurons, right?
Okay, so curling is really, really similar to shuffleboard, you know?
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I okay. I really want to. I need to look something up. I want to make a real good pun, and I want
Okay.
it to be something really stupid on purpose because the mafia has deliberately renamed something because they're the mafia, and people have to call it that, otherwise they're gonna get ganked.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
um, um, oh, good shit. Okay, this is real good. Okay. Oh, this is so good. Okay. So, this this is sports management with the mafia, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So this is all about generating a profit, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Okay. Racketeering, right?
Okay. All right. I think I see where you're going with this. All right.
Uh-huh. Racket? Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Sports?
Yeah.
We're doing this. We're doing
Okay.
something with racket. Like, I don't give a shit what sport we're doing. Whatever the equipment is, it's racket. We're doing something with racket.
Okay.
Like, it's got to be used. Racketeering is a type of organized crime in which the perpetrator set up a coercive, fraudulent, extortionary, or otherwise illegal coordinated scheme or operation, a racket, to repeatedly or consistently collect a profit. I love it.
Oh, I could see that gelling really well with racket spelled with the Quet and not the Ket.
I mean, like,
The
they both work.
racketeering.
Yep.
3 racketeers. 3 colors. Hey, there we go. All right. So, are there any sports, any racket-based sports that have 3 people to a group or a team or a side or
Well, let's find out, shall we? Um,
tennis is up to 2 for doubles in standard match, right? Badminton, I'm not so sure about.
list of racket sports.
There you
Thanks,
go.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, let's start with that because that's pretty much the extent of my racket sports knowledge.
Oh, wow. There's a lot here.
Oh no. How many?
Oh, let's see here. Badminton.
Okay.
Battledore. Never heard of that one.
Yeah.
Crossminton. Front tennis. Quianball. Racketlon. Rackets, literally. Racquetball. Real tennis, whatever that is.
All right.
Soft tennis. Speedball. Squash.
Squash.
Squash
Okay.
tennis. Stickay. Tennis. Tennis polo. Touch tennis. Table tennis. Pelota. Beach tennis. Downside ball game. I want to know what that is.
Okay.
That sounds interesting. It's an outdoor racket sport played by the Gregorians at Downside School in
That
Somerset. Okay.
seems very specific.
It does. I need to know. You play it at the ball place. It's literally the court you play it on is called the ball place. Oh, this is getting better.
Incredible.
Oh, I love this. Okay. Tell me more. Oh, this is good shit. Okay. The game is played by 4 players each on two on each side. There we are. We can adjust that. We're the fucking mafia.
3 on 3, whatever.
The game consists of 21 points. Okay. Points can only be scored by the side which is serving, not by the side which is receiving. Ooh. All right. So let's see here. The apparent death of the game as a serious sport was surely inevitable. Following the transformation of Downside, during the decade preceding the First World War from a continental-style college into a mainstream public school. These were the years that saw the introduction of rugby, football, squash, and rackets, and above all, lawn tennis. Against such, the older, less sophisticated game with no prospect of external match fixtures stood little chance of survival, and all efforts to reintroduce it have so far failed. However, in 2013, the game was reintroduced into the school life and is fast becoming a major sport at Downside School, with inter-house matches played in the summer term. The ball place is still there and continues as it has for almost 200 years to be a significant facility in the life of the school. This has to be it.
Wow. What was the
This
actual
has to
sport
be
called
it.
now? Like, I've already kind of lost it because of that academic description of this stuff.
I'm gonna just share this in chat
All right.
because
Very good.
this is real. I am reading it
Downside
verbatim.
ball game. Oh. Look, I very rarely say this, but that could use a little bit of PR.
Yeah, that's the mafia can help.
There we go. Hey, all right, we've got our hook right there.
There we go.
Okay. Mafia takes an interest in downside ball game. Okay. When did it start to fall out of favor? In that dry ass history lesson I just heard, when was it starting to decline?
Before the First World War.
First World War. Okay, so like
It was
extremely
like 10 years
early 20s.
beforehand.
Yeah. Oh, before that. So like teens, 19 teens.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah. It was right as rugby and squash became popular.
Okay. Okay, so instead of investing in the clearly more popular rugby and squash, I'm gonna borrow a little thing. The Canadian Mafia, if such a thing exists, they're sorry. Decides to corner the market on illicit downside ball game gambling.
So, one such detail here about the legacy of the game specifically calls out that the game started to fail because it had no prospect of external match fixtures.
Oh.
Because the ball place only existed at Downside School.
I see. Okay.
So we needed to Oh no. Alternate history play place. Anyway.
I see. Yeah, okay.
That's all I got.
All right.
Let you run with that if you want.
Nope. Because as soon as you said play place, it went to McDonald's play place. I'm like, nope.
That is exactly where my brain went. Yep.
All right, so the Mafia is starting to pick up on downside ball game. They clearly want to make their money, because the Mafia are good capitalists, I guess. So from the players' perspective, then the game players, not the downside ball game players, like what are we doing? Are we trying to like build our little section of the Mafia here to be the most, like, what are sections of the Mafia called? The little clubs, gangs, divisions.
Mm.
Not a mafioso. I don't know.
Overthrow rugby. I don't know.
Okay, they want to be more successful than rugby and squash. Is that the deal?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh no, actually, let's focus on squash. That's pretentious.
Okay.
Or at least it has the air of being pretentious. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So get more popular and or profitable than squash.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm into that. So okay, yeah, this is sport management, right? So like we're shit, I was just thinking about this term and then now I lost it. Ringers. You're supposed to recruit ringers to these various
Yes.
downside ball game teams, right? Um, so recruit ringers of various skills and ratings to all the downside ball game teams because you're the mafia. You're fixing everything, right? You no loyalty to a specific team. You just want a lot of people to start betting and losing their money.
True.
Okay.
So we're creating the WWE of racket sports?
Sure, but with more people losing
Okay.
money and less people getting entertained. Um,
Okay.
so attempt to fix the matches to bring in the most money, right? The most
Seems good.
betting, right?
Yeah.
Make them close. Not too much of a blowout, right? Because otherwise people start get suspicious.
So are the players themselves in on it too then?
I think they would have to be. Yeah, you would give them like a little cut to like, hey, maybe throw this match a little bit, but not too much. We want to keep the veneer of a legitimate sports organization here.
So this really does sound like wrestling. Okay.
Yeah, kind of, sure. There we go. Okay. So what do we got for it? Clearly, we've got money as our inventory, right?
Yeah.
Plays a big part of it.
We have ball places.
Ball places, right? So we want to expand. So there's a bit. Is there a bit of scheduling going on here? We gotta do some of the hard spreadsheet work.
True. Yeah.
Okay.
We will need downside ball game bats. We will need leather balls.
Oh, is it a do they call it a bat? They don't call it a racket? It's a racket sport, isn't it?
It is a racket sport, but they call it a downside ball game bat.
Oh, wild. Okay. And what was the second thing you said after that? I was fixated on the
leather
bats.
ball.
A leather ball. Oh, a leather ball. All right.
Yeah, it's 1.5 inch in diameter. You can use a rugby fives ball as a substitute.
That's pretty small.
Yeah.
The H? Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Leather balls. Okay. How are we working the three colors into this? Is there like some style rules to this downside ball game that we need to be aware of? Like things can only be
wondering, like, is there a way that we could make it so that 3 teams competed concurrently?
Oh, okay.
Because I mean, like, that would solve that pretty handily.
It really would. Like we're gonna three-way cribbage up this bitch here and
honestly, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I like that. We would have to reconstruct the ball places to allow triple I almost said triple triad. That is a card game.
That's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I can see that as part of the Mafia's effort to revitalize downside ball game, right?
Honestly, yeah. You know what? That's great. That's great. I like that. That's a good hook.
Okay, I'm gonna put that in the story. In fact,
sure.
Not the mechanics. Okay, Canadian Mafia works up a way to get 3 teams involved in each match. That also makes the fixing of the matches a bit more interesting when you got to play like 3 interests at once here. So
true that.
All right, very good. So I'm not super familiar with like the more management-y type sport games. I'm not familiar with sport games really much at all. But this feels like one of those things where you would set it up in the menus and be like, do you want to watch this match play out, or do you want to just skip to the result type things? So that being, I think that's kind of lends itself to the point of view, doesn't it? Like you're the mafia boss or manager or whatever, and you're setting up these matches, and you get to like sit on the sidelines and just like observe them, right? And if you're really into like the EVE Online-esque depth of the economy here of downside ball game, you can maybe get more directly involved. But as it stands, this being sport management, right? You just kind of sit back, do nothing, and get all the money like real managers.
I think part of the charm of it, though, would actually see how things play out. Like the matches probably don't need to be super long for it to like get the desired effect. But
right.
like,
sure.
I have to imagine that the sport management side of it would be like the stupid silly business deals and the dialogue trees that you'd go through to like actually coerce the people into like buying into the whole shtick basically. Yeah, like just the immense over the topness of it will of course contribute to the satire.
I can imagine like on an individual game basis, like you'd be the mafia manager sitting at the bench or whatever of a given team, and you would like send little hand signals to folks on the court or whatever is it called, the court of this downside ball game.
No, it's the ball place.
Ball place. Sorry, this downside ball place, and be like, hey, be a little better or go a little slower or whatever, just to kind of micromanage how the game is being operated to all three teams, which would be really interesting. Like maybe there's a stealth element to it, like you would sneak around to the different teams' benches to, keep the public in the dark as to what's actually going on. The matches are fixed after all, but you have some hand in how these are playing out, right? All right. I wasn't super convinced that this was going to be a cool game, but it's growing on me.
Gotta make it as outlandish as possible.
Right? Yeah. And honestly, this doesn't sound like that outlandish either. Considering reality.
I'm here
for it. Okay. Interact with all three teams in covert ways to shape the outcome of individual matches, right? Either way, the house wins. You just want to win more.
Yeah.
Okay. Could we get competing sects of the Canadian mafia to kind of like be involved in all these teams? Like you get up to three players going simultaneously, three mafia bosses going simultaneously to try to manage these teams here.
I mean, maybe. I mean, actually,
funny.
No. Each mafia would have its own league, I think.
Oh, I think so.
Or at least like, like the NFL and the CFL and the AFL and the whatever. NFC, AFC. That's what I'm thinking of here. Sorry. Well, I mean, like even the NFL and the AFL, like, yeah, I mean, those are leagues.
Okay, yeah. Each mafia boss controls a different division of the league or whatever, right?
I mean, it could be leagues, it could be divisions of the league. Yeah, I mean, honestly, who knows?
I mean, we don't know much about.
It depends on how much they want to cooperate.
Downside ball game, I suppose, right?
Honestly, okay. Now that you say it out loud again, and now that we're talking about, competing mafias, downside really should probably be played up.
Okay.
I don't know how, but
like, is that a proper noun? Do they capitalize downside? Is that like the name of the originating
the name of the
place?
is Downside, which is hilariously British.
That is, pretty good.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's the competing upside league and the other competing nobody gives a shit about it side league or whatever.
I was gonna say side, yeah.
There, okay. Up to three players. The upside and the side leagues. There we go. It's canon.
Internally referred to as the Inside League.
Okay. And the secret unlockable Inside League, right?
There you go.
All right, very good. Graphic style, I'm gonna go real specific with this and make it like Super Dodgeball for the NES. I don't know what this game looks like at all. Like what? You know what? Okay, yeah, that's right. You got the link in chat. I'm gonna open that up and I'm gonna see if I can look at the diagram of the court.
There it is.
Why is there a rifle range involved? Excuse me?
I don't fucking know.
There's a label on there with rifle range. I have no idea how they're trying to convey this. That is inscrutable.
I have a feeling that it's like perhaps it's a dual purpose area.
Okay. Oh,
because there is only one ball place and it's only at Downside School.
Okay. Apparently it's terraced, so there are different elevations.
That's curious, yeah.
Wild. And it looks like you're using a big ass wooden spoon. That's the bat?
Apparently, yeah.
Excellent. Wow. Oh, and there's subpoints to the scoring too. Oh, that is awful. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad the Mafia is investing in this then. Okay, but yay or nay on like the Super Dodgeball for NES styling here?
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
It's like if you've ever played River City Ransom, it's like the same character designs because I think it was the same group that made it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm all about that. This is great.
Excellent. Boy, if we're going with like the classic NES style sports, I don't know if you've ever played like Super Tecmo Bowl or the much less interesting Tecmo Bowl. How they would pick plays would be a combination of D-pad and A or B, right? So I imagine that's kind of the input for signaling to whatever players in whatever downside ball game team you're trying to influence here.
Sure.
Like different combos of that to be like I imagine this is very similar to like the baseball like lines people next to first base and third base doing their weird like little hand jive stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So 2-button less D-pad combos to throw out hand jives. All right. And audio style, I honestly have no idea. Do we care?
I mean, part of me really just wants to go full in on like super intense music.
Oh, okay.
Because it is satire.
It is satire. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I wish I had a better sense of like what the pacing of a downside ball game was. Like, is it very slow baseball where it's like, oh man, I need a drink during this, otherwise I'm gonna fall asleep type shit? Or let's see here.
Consists of 21 points. Yeah, it doesn't really say how long these games typically go for.
Yeah, it looks like it almost sounds volleyball-esque, which once the ball is in play, it goes back and forth, I guess.
Yeah, kind of seems that way.
All right, so that could get pretty intense. Like it ramps up as the point being played goes longer.
Kind of seems that way.
Okay. All right. So starts benign, gets more intense as the point or match plays out. Okay. All right, that's everything filled out.
Yay! We did it.
Just
Well,
just for grins, I put down as the title either Racketeering or The Three Racketeers. Open to other alternatives, really, but I wanted to get those down just in case we came back to this and it was just impossible to name.
oh, I do like the Three Racketeers. If we can put a subtitle in there that has some sort of pun with downside, that would be real good.
Okay, all right.
Literally downside mafia would be kind of funny.
Yeah, or if you want to be real stupid, and I'm not backing this at all as soon as it leaves my mouth, but the upside of downside.
Mm,
Yeah, it's not great.
mm,
All right, so what did you say? Mafia something as the subtitle?
Downside mafia or something like
Downside Mafia. Okay, yeah. I can get behind that. Okay, well, I think we hit all the points.
Honestly, yeah. No, that's pretty thorough.
Whoa.
Each team has their own color. Like we got the only three colors. We've got sports management, mafia, and satire in there. Yeah.
Turn this into a very serious, let's fix these downside ball games to make the money and get more profitable than squash.
In Canada.
In Canada, right, the Canadian Mafia. They're very sorry about it. Excellent. All right, well, I'm willing to call this a wrap on this game. This is pretty funny.
Yep, I'm good.
Excellent. Well, hey, so that's how ad hoc design goes, right?
Yeah. This is how it be. The mythical fourth role that never happens would have had two genres, one each rule, setting, and theme. The first genre would have been point and click, and the second genre would have been run and gun. The rule would have been leave something behind, the setting Lovecraftian, and the theme comedy.
Okay.
I'm not really sure how you can point and click run and gun, but I shrug.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's like a keyboard and mouse Contra, which is kind of wild. All right.
But hey, we didn't do that, and we didn't have to. Not that we could.
Right? Yep. Would have been against the law.
I'm pretty sure that we made the right choice tonight.
We did, which is weird since it's a sport management game. But hey, you go with what you got.
It is the loving, very, 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 very distant cousin to Shuffleboard Heroes. So, yep.
Could be the precursor, right? Maybe the mafia bosses that made this downside ball game a big hit are starting to age out. They're starting to retire. What else they got to do? Shuffleboard, I guess.
There you go.
Can't believe we're getting the history going on this. This is fun. Okay, well then we're coming to the end of Insert Credits round 129 here. Thank you all for joining us as always. I am MrBond.
And I'm Tormod.
I'll leave you with our typical closing track, a remix from a Final Fantasy Mystic Quest entitled Forest Through the Trees by Shay's Violin. Good night, everybody.
Ciao.